The black food delivery girl solves a problem that 20 engineers couldn't. If you're so smart, then fix it. They were shocked. If you're as smart as you think you are, then fix it, shouted Michael Harrison, the chief technology officer of TechCorp, pointing at the flashing red error messages on the control center screens. The system had been completely down for 3 hours, paralyzing operations for dozens of client companies. Keisha Williams, just 24 years old, was only there to deliver the lunch Michael had ordered through an app. Her insulated delivery backpack was still slung over her shoulder when she dared to comment on the error codes flashing on the main screen. One sentence made every engineer stop in their tracks and look at her like she was speaking alien language. "Sorry, but that error's caused by a cache conflict," she said calmly while setting down the lunch. "You tried to reboot the main server without clearing the pending transaction cache." The silence that followed was so tense it felt suffocating. 20 engineers from top universities, some earning six-figure salaries, stood speechless, silenced by a black food delivery girl who had spotted the issue in seconds, something they hadn't done in hours. How hilarious, Michael's scoffed voice dripping with contempt. "I bet you didn't even finish high school. Why don't you go back to delivering food and leave the real work to people who actually know what they're doing?" Some engineers laughed. A few shook their heads in disdain. David Park, a senior engineer, crossed his arms and said, "Girl, this isn't fixing a microwave. This is an infrastructure system that handles millions of dollars." Keisha stood her ground, her calm brown eyes in stark contrast to the chaos around her. There was something in her gaze, a calmness that bordered on dangerous, like she knew something they didn't. "All right then," she replied softly, adjusting her backpack strap. "But when the system is back online in exactly 2 minutes because of my suggestion, remember this moment." Michael laughed loudly derisive. "2 minutes, sweetheart. This system's been down for 3 hours. We've got 20 top-tier experts working on it. You think a food delivery girl can teach us anything?" Keisha gave a soft smile, not one that reached her eyes, but enough to make some in the room feel a chill, like she was hiding a secret too big to reveal just yet. 3 days had passed since the black delivery girl dared to fix the error in front of Michael Harrison's entire engineering team. And the worst part? She was right. The system was back online precisely 2 minutes after they followed her suggestion. But Michael wasn't the kind of man to admit he'd been publicly embarrassed, especially not by someone he saw as beneath him. With a degree from MIT, 15 years in tech, and a $200,000 salary, Michael simply couldn't stomach the fact that a food delivery girl knew something he didn't. "I got her name," David Park said, walking into Michael's office with a half smirk. "Keisha Williams, 24, works for 3 different food delivery apps, lives on the east side of the city. And the interesting part..." David paused for dramatic effect. "She used to be a computer science student, dropped out in her 3rd year." Michael raised an eyebrow. "Dropped out? Why, seems like she couldn't afford tuition. Low-income family couldn't support her education. One of those big dreamers without the foundation to chase the dream." What Michael didn't know, Keisha didn't drop out because of lack of talent, but because of family tragedy. Her mother was diagnosed with cancer during Keisha's 3rd year. Keisha had to make a choice: continue studying or start working to pay her mom's medical bills. The choice was painfully clear. For 2 years, she worked 3 jobs by day and taught herself programming by night. Her desk was a cardboard box in the cramped room she shared with her mother. Her laptop was an old second-hand model she bought with borrowed money. "You know what bothers me the most?" Michael said, turning his chair to face the 23rd floor window. "It's people like her who think they can walk into our world and talk like they're on the same level. She doesn't understand that there's always a hierarchy, a natural order." David burst out laughing, clearly in agreement. "Exactly. I bet she just memorized a few lines of code from the internet and thought she was an expert. Beginner's luck, that's all." What they didn't know was Keisha had developed at home her own delivery route optimization system, more efficient than anything TechCorp had ever produced. She had turned survival into opportunity, creating an algorithm that boosted income while reducing working hours. The following Thursday, Michael decided it was time to teach that rude delivery girl a lesson. He contacted every delivery platform in the city, using his influence as a major corporate client to make a special request: permanently ban Keisha Williams from delivering to TechCorp. He spun a story to the managers. "As the CTO of one of the city's top firms, I can't allow disrespectful workers to continue providing service here." Within 24 hours, Keisha received suspension notices from all 3 delivery apps she relied on. No detailed explanation, no right to appeal, no more income. Sitting in her kitchen staring at the growing stack of her mother's medical bills on the table, Keisha felt a blend of fury and resolve she hadn't felt in a long time. Her hands trembled slightly as she reread the notices, but not from fear. "What's wrong, sweetie?" Her mother, Helen, stepped into the kitchen, still weak from her latest chemotherapy session. "It's nothing, Mom. Just a small work issue. I'll handle it." Keisha gently hugged her mother, feeling how frail the body that fought so hard to stay alive had become. "I'll take care of everything." That night, Keisha opened her old laptop and did something she hadn't done in a while. She started coding again, but this time it wasn't to optimize delivery routes, not to solve some basic logic problem. This time she was building something much bigger. Each line of code she wrote was powered by years of being underestimated, sneered at, and having doors slammed in her face. Michael Harrison had just awakened something he never should have. The quiet fire of a woman overlooked her whole life, now ready to prove her worth. In the moment she read those suspension emails, Kesha bowed her head and felt the all-too-familiar weight of injustice. But anyone who knew her real story would understand. She was simply gathering the wind for the silent storm she was about to unleash. For the next 2 weeks, Keisha lived in two parallel realities. By day, she went job hunting, dishwashing, waitressing, cleaning anything to help pay her mother's medical bills. By night, she became someone else entirely, a programmer determined to build something that would change everything. What Michael Harrison never anticipated was his attempt to destroy Keisha's life became the perfect fuel for something far bigger than he could imagine. Every failed interview, every condescending look from recruiters, every unpaid bill. All of it became lines of code in the system she was developing. "You barely sleep anymore," her mother Helen said, watching Keisha furiously typing code at 3 a.m. "What are you working on?" "Something that's going to change our lives, Mom. Trust me." Meanwhile, back at TechCorp, Michael Harrison was still basking in his victory over that troublesome delivery girl. In a meeting with his team, he couldn't resist retelling the story like a hilarious anecdote. "Remember the girl who tried to correct us last week?" Michael chuckled, leaning against the conference table. "She won't be bothering anyone again. I pulled some strings, made sure she's banned from every delivery app in the city." David Park laughed loudly. "Perfect. She needed to learn there's a hierarchy. People like us don't take disrespect from people like her. They had no idea." Jennifer Chun, the only Asian American programmer on the team, was quietly recording the entire meeting on her phone. She had been the only one to speak up for Keisha that day, but her colleagues quickly shut her down. Now hearing Michael brag openly about destroying someone's life, Jennifer knew she had to act. That night, she took a risk that could cost her her job. She found Keisha's social media account and sent her a private message. "Hi, Keisha. I'm Jennifer. I work at TechCorp. I was there the day you fixed our system. I need to tell you a few things about what Michael did. Could we meet somewhere?" When Keisha received the message, she hesitated. It could be a trap. But something in Jennifer's tone, the sincerity, convinced her to agree. They met at a quiet cafe downtown. "Did he really do that?" Keisha asked in disbelief after hearing the recording where Michael admitted to sabotaging her career. "Worse," Jennifer replied, her eyes burning with anger. "Michael Harrison is a smug narcissist who couldn't stand being corrected by a woman of color. He did it because his ego couldn't take it." She slid a piece of paper across the table. "This is a list of the biggest corporate clients of TechCorp. If even one of them confirms that Michael made decisions based on bias and not ability..." Keisha took the paper, her hands trembling. "Why are you helping me? You don't even know me." "Because I've been in your place." Jennifer sighed. 3 years ago, Michael nearly fired me for fixing a bug he made during a pitch to investors. The only difference is I had a union rep and a lawyer. You didn't get that chance. But maybe we can create our own justice." That night, Keisha worked with a fire she hadn't felt in months. This time she wasn't just building a system, she was building a trap. Her project had evolved into a full-scale vulnerability analysis platform, able to scan any enterprise system and detect serious flaws in real time. But the real genius was in what she uncovered during those sleepless nights. TechCorp had dozens of major security holes in their own infrastructure, bugs that Michael and his team of 20 engineers had missed, but Keisha had mapped every one. The following week, Keisha launched phase 1 of her plan. Using the information Jennifer gave her, she created fake social media accounts and began connecting with the chief technology officers, CTOs, of TechCorp's biggest clients. Her strategy was simple but brilliant. She offered free security audits for companies using outsourced systems. Nothing illegal, no deception, just a skilled young woman offering to identify potential vulnerabilities before they became threats. What those companies didn't know was most of the vulnerabilities Keisha found were directly tied to TechCorp's products and services. "How's the project going, sweetie?" Helen asked one night, noticing her daughter relaxing for the first time in 2 stressful weeks. "Better than I expected, Mom. A lot better." Keisha smiled, not the smile of a desperate girl trying to survive, but the smile of someone who had discovered her true power. Meanwhile, across the city, Michael Harrison received the first of several phone calls that would change his life forever. The CTO of Megacorp, one of TechCorp's biggest clients, was on the line. "Michael, we need to talk urgently. We just got an independent security report showing serious flaws in the entire system you provided us. The same system you swore was flawless." Michael felt a chill run down his spine. "There must be some mistake, Mr. Rodriguez. Our system passed every test. The report came from a security expert named Kay Williams. Do you know her?" The name hit him like a punch to the gut. Keisha Williams, the delivery girl he once destroyed, was back. And this time she wasn't delivering food. "Michael, are you still listening to me?" "Yes. Yes, I'll check it right away." When Michael hung up, his hands trembled slightly. Not out of fear, at least not yet, but because he was beginning to realize a harsh truth. He had made a critical mistake in underestimating someone he should have left alone. What Michael didn't know was that this phone call was only the beginning of a carefully orchestrated series of events. Keisha wasn't just targeting one client of TechCorp. She was preparing a full-scale exposé that would unveil years of technical negligence, decisions driven by personal bias, and incompetence disguised as authority. While Michael was struggling to comprehend how a delivery girl could have identified system vulnerabilities that his entire engineering team had missed, Keisha was already 3 steps ahead. She had initiated phase 2 of her plan, a plan designed to make Michael's public disgrace a lesson he would never forget. When the name Kay Williams appeared on his computer screen, Michael felt a chill, perhaps a pang of realization, maybe even regret. But anyone who truly understands the nature of justice knows there are some wrongs too severe to be fixed with just an apology. And sometimes the only language people like Michael understand is consequence, undeniable, bitter, and irreversible. The following Monday, Michael Harrison arrived at the office to find his assistant pale-faced, a stack of urgent messages on her desk. "Mr. Harrison, we need to talk," she said, her voice trembling. "We've had 12 clients cancel contracts in the past 24 hours, all for the same reason. Reason: critical security breaches discovered through an independent audit." Michael felt the floor drop beneath him. 12 contracts represented nearly 60% of TechCorp's annual revenue. "What audit? Who authorized that?" "No one, sir," the assistant replied. "A consultant offered a free security check and the clients agreed." The phone rang. It was Richard Goldman, CEO of Dataflow Industries, one of their biggest clients. "Michael, I'm terminating our contract immediately. Kay Williams has identified vulnerabilities you insisted didn't exist. Worse, I found out you've known about these flaws for months and never informed us." "Richard, there must be some misunderstanding." "The only misunderstanding was that we trusted you. She provided us with system logs from 6 months ago. You placed us at catastrophic risk and lied about it." Michael hung up. His hands were shaking. Kay Williams had accessed internal TechCorp logs. How? The answer came in an email. Jennifer Chun, the senior Asian software engineer on his team, had just sent an all-staff email titled "Transparency and Integrity, a Necessary Conversation." "Dear colleagues, as a member of this company for the past 5 years, I feel it's my responsibility to share information that directly affects the ethical standing of our workplace." The email detailed how Michael had abused his position to sabotage Keisha's career due to personal prejudice, including a recorded meeting where he bragged about destroying the delivery girl. Keisha Williams identified a major system flaw in seconds. Our response was to humiliate her and then destroy her livelihood. Meanwhile, those exact flaws have cost us millions in security breaches over the past few months. Within 15 minutes, the email had spread throughout the company. 30 minutes later, it appeared on social media. In less than an hour, every major tech news site in the city had picked up the story. Michael stormed into Jennifer's office. Michael stormed into Jennifer's office, his face red with fury. "You're fired! How dare you slander me like this?" Actually, a calm voice spoke from the doorway. "She's protected by labor laws against discrimination, and you are in some very serious trouble." It was Keisha, accompanied by a lawyer and two reporters. She carried a laptop and a thick stack of documents. Surprised? She smiled coolly. "I'm here to carry out the security audit you said I wasn't qualified for." Michael was speechless. You're not allowed in here. Security. Get security." "I'm not trespassing," Keisha replied calmly. "I was officially hired by TechCorp's board of directors to conduct a full security audit after reports of severe negligence in system operations surfaced. When 12 major clients canceled contracts in a single day, the shareholders began asking some very uncomfortable questions." One of the reporters switched on their camera. A voice called out, "Mr. Harrison, is it true you used your position to sabotage the career of a qualified black woman simply because she publicly corrected one of your errors?" Michael looked around desperately. Jennifer offered a quiet, satisfied smile. David Park had locked himself away in his office. Other employees peered through the glass walls. None came to his defense. That's a misunderstanding," Michael stammered. Kesha opened her laptop. "I can show you exactly what I found in TechCorp's Systems 23 critical vulnerabilities that should have been patched months ago, causing at least $4 million in damages to clients." The screen displayed detailed reports, error codes, system logs, and undeniable proof of the technical team's incompetence. "What's interesting," Keisha continued, "is that these flaws were incredibly easy to spot. Any competent developer would have caught them in a routine check." Michael turned pale. "Our system passed every inspection." "Your inspections were shallow and lacked expertise," Keisha replied, voice still even. "You prioritized launch speed over actual security, the kind of leader who values ego over responsibility." Kesha's lawyer stepped forward. "Mr. Harrison, my client is considering filing for defamation, interference with employment contract, and racial discrimination. We have sufficient evidence to proceed." A second reporter added, "Clients affected are preparing a class action lawsuit against TechCorp. Estimated damages now exceed $8 million." Michael collapsed into a chair. In less than a week, he had lost nearly all his clients, lost the trust of his team, and was facing lawsuits that could destroy both his career and personal finances. "Why," Michael whispered, eyes filled with a mix of regret and desperation. "You could have let this go." Keisha shut her laptop and looked Michael straight in the eyes, because someone needs to prove that talent doesn't have a color, class, or background. And because people like you only learn lessons when the consequences become impossible to ignore. She turned and walked away, followed by reporters and Jennifer, who had just handed in her resignation to join the cybersecurity consulting firm Keisha had founded. Michael was left alone in his office for the first time, truly realizing that he had underestimated not just a delivery girl, but the power of someone who had been overlooked all her life, yet knew how to turn pain into the sharpest form of resistance. 6 months later, Keisha Williams sat in her private office on the 21st floor of a high-rise, gazing out at the city skyline through floor-to-ceiling windows. Her company, Secure Code Solutions, had grown from an idea born out of injustice into one of the most respected cybersecurity consultancies in the country. "We landed 17 new contracts this month," said Jennifer Chun, now the company's COO, as she walked in with a stack of proposals. 3 of them were former TechCorp clients. "They came to us after seeing what we did." Keisha smiled, but it wasn't the smile of someone who had merely survived trauma. It was the smile of someone who had discovered her true strength. "What about our old company?" Keisha asked, though she already knew the answer. "Michael was fired last week," Jennifer said. "TechCorp lost 80% of its enterprise clients in just 6 months. They're considering filing for bankruptcy." She paused. "He's trying to sue a few clients for breach of contract, but nobody's taking it seriously." "I heard he's doing freelance consulting now," Kesha added, "but no one trusts him anymore." "Funny how reputation works, isn't it?" she said with a quiet smile. "Takes a lifetime to build and seconds to destroy." Indeed, Michael Harrison had learned the hard way competence isn't about degrees or skin color. After his firing, he desperately tried to rebuild his career, but the leaked recording captured by Jennifer, in which he admitted sabotaging Keisha's career due to racial bias, had gone viral within the tech community. Companies that once competed to hire him now avoided his name like a plague. Colleagues who once laughed at his discriminatory jokes now pretended they'd never known him. David Park even issued a public statement distancing himself, stating he did not condone Michael's behavior. The biggest irony, said Keisha's mother Helen as she walked into the office carrying a tray of coffee, her health much improved thanks to the best treatment money could now buy, is that the man tried to destroy you because he thought you didn't belong on his level, and now you're 3 levels above him. Keisha hugged her mother warmly. It's not about levels, Mom. It's about proving that talent has no race, no title, no background. And sometimes when the system fails to protect us, we have to build justice with our own hands. Her phone rang. It was an invitation to speak at the National Tech Conference, an event where Michael had been the keynote speaker for 5 years straight. This year, his name wasn't even on the guest list. I'll accept, Keisha told Jennifer. I want to speak about something vital, that diversity in tech isn't just about social inclusion. It's about quality. How many problems could have been solved faster if people stopped judging talent by appearance? Meanwhile, across town, Michael opened yet another job rejection letter. His bank account was nearly drained. The luxury flat he once lived in had been sold to cover legal fees. Now he lived in a tiny apartment on the outskirts of the city. For the first time in his life, Michael Harrison experienced what it felt like to be judged not by merit, but by his actions. And the consequences were far worse than anything he had ever inflicted on Keisha. You turned humiliation into power, Jennifer said, watching Keisha review contracts with new clients. This isn't just revenge, it's justice. And the best revenge, Keisha replied, isn't destroying those who hurt you. It's building something so great. They're forced to realize how small they were when they tried to bring you down. 1 year after that fateful day at TechCorp, Keisha had proved Michael right about one thing: the world does have a natural order. But it's not based on race, class, or pedigree. It's built on skill, integrity, and the courage to claim justice in a world that often tries to silence you. Secure Code Solutions now employed 45 people, many of whom had once been overlooked by traditional companies. Keisha hadn't just built a company. She had created a movement, one that proved diversity and technical excellence were never mutually exclusive. Michael Harrison had tried to crush a delivery girl because he couldn't stand the idea that she might be smarter than him. And in doing so, he lost everything, and unwittingly helped create one of the most innovative tech companies in the country. Keisha understood one thing clearly: real victory doesn't lie in making your enemies suffer. It lies in succeeding so brilliantly that they're forced to realize they were never big enough to understand the greatness in you. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed a relaxing and captivating storytelling experience. If you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Your support gives me the motivation to create more amazing content.